Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Automation Testing Insider. So this is part 14 of Selenium Framework Development series from scratch, and today we are going to talk about how we can enhance our framework using TestNG listeners. Correct? So in the previous part we talked about how we have implemented extend report in our framework, and we have done a lot of coding, right? And we have created different methods. We have configured our extend report, right? Extend report class, and at last we have seen beautiful extend report at the end of the session, correct? And we have used base64 image format as well, correct guys? So that will be embedded, that got embedded in the extend report, and by clicking on that we can see the screenshot, right? We have generated the screenshot, we have taken the screenshot, and we have attached to the report. So this is what we have seen in the previous video. So if you haven't watched that, then I would recommend first to go and watch that video, and then you can come to this video to see the how we can enhance the framework using TestNG listener. So today we'll focus on how we can enhance the framework using listeners. So let's talk about the agenda for today. So we are going to talk about what are TestNG listeners basically, and what is the purpose of TestNG listeners, and types of TestNG listeners, what are the different TestNG listeners are available, and why we use ITestListener in our framework. Basically we are going to use ITestListener in our framework, so we'll talk about it, and step-by-step code explanation. So I'll show you practically how we can implement the ITestListener in our framework. So let's talk about the first topic, what are TestNG listeners. So TestNG listeners are interfaces, right, that allow you to listen. So that those interfaces having unimplemented methods, and we need to just write piece of code, right, and that allow you to listen specific events in a test life cycle. What is the test life cycle? Like how we are going to start the test, when it gets success, failure, right, or is skipped. So it listens, the name itself, right, listeners, TestNG listeners. So it listens the specific events, correct? So this is the simple definition. TestNG listeners are interfaces that allow you to listen to specific events in a test life cycle, and based on our implementation, like how we are going to do when test starts, what is the code, or what is the piece of code when we write inside when it gets passed, right? So that will do, and how we are going to take the screenshot, that we are going to do as part of test failure. So it listens the different events and act accordingly. So in the previous video you might have seen, like we have done some kind of hard coding. So when we implement this TestNG listener, then it will be very like we need to just configure one class listener, and then automatically it will like it will log the reports perfectly, right? Now let's talk about what is the purpose of TestNG listeners. So it track the execution status like start, pass, fail, skip, which we discussed, and perform actions such as logging, taking screenshots, or sending notification. So we can perform different actions using TestNG listener. Enhance reporting capabilities. So this is what we are going to discuss today, right? How can we enhance our framework using TestNG listener, and what are the different types of TestNG listeners available? ITestListener, this is what we are going to implement today. So tracks test execution life cycle events. So mostly in most of the framework we are going to use this ITestListener. And we have suite level suite listener, iSuiteListener, and there is iAnnotation transformer that modifies test annotation dynamically, right? And iExecution listener as well, executes custom logic before and after the entire TestNG execution. So these are the different listeners, guys. Basically we will talk about ITestListener, how we can implement that, and why we use ITestListener in our framework. So that automates test status logging like pass, fail, skip, simplifies report generation by integrating with tools like extend reports. This is what we are going to discuss today, and centralizes test monitoring by easy debugging. We can easily debug our code by by monitoring the test, right? So there will be a centralized class. We are going to create test listener from which we can easily monitor our test. Supports advanced features like screenshots for on failure and detailed logs as well. So this is what we are going to implement today, guys. So let me take you to Eclipse directly, and what we'll do here. So if you go to src main Java, here we have utility package, right? And this is what we have created. So let me quickly recap extend manager class which we have created, right? We have written different methods over here in the last session, and based on we call few methods inside, we have done some settings in base class, right? And action driver as well, and corresponding test classes as well. We made some changes, and later on we have seen the reports like this. When test gets skipped, so you'll get message like this, and it gets failed, so we'll get message like this. So I think I need to modify the message over here, so that I'll do. And here you can see base 64 image format, right? Now let's enhance the framework by implementing ITestListener. So what I'll do here, we have already created the package, guys, com.orangehrm.listener, and simply right click on that, and I'll create one class called TestListener, right? TestListener, correct? So click on finish, and what we'll do to implement the listener, we need to implement that. Those are interfaces, right? So implements, will use keyword implements, and ITestListener, correct? That is an interface. So we need to import ITestListener listener, and we have to import it from org.testng, correct? And what we need to do, so generally whenever we implement, so whatever unimplemented methods are there, automatically it should come over here, but not sure why it is not coming in this Eclipse version. So what we'll do, you can do like right click and source, and here we have an option called override implement methods, right? So what we can do here, from here we can select different methods. So what are the different methods we need? On finish, on start, on test failed, we don't need this one, we need not this one, on test failure, on test skipped, on test start, and on test success. So these are the different methods which we required. So click on okay, and you'll see all the unimplemented methods are coming over here, right? So what we'll do, guys, we'll implement each and every method. Now we'll write piece of code, right? So what we are going to do, so let's start with on start. So what it does basically, so here I'll write, this will trigger when a suit starts, right? And here I'll give extend manager dot, we have get reporter method. If you remember, we have created get reporter method, right? So simply I'll go to this, and this is the method which we have created. So basically what it does, this method on start, it will trigger when a suit starts, so it will call this method, right? So simply you can give comment here as well, initialize the extend reports, correct? You can give like this. Now what we'll do, if you remember, in base class we have already given it before suite, right? That extend manager get reporter. So what we'll do, we'll simply comment this, and we can write this has been implemented in TestListener. We can comment this line, and we have earlier hard coded, or we can say we have implemented inside base suite before suite, right? So we can simply comment this line, and we can call it over here, this get reporter method, and we can simply remove this as well, that is not required. And here triggered when the suite ends, right? This method on finish. So here what we'll do, flush the reports, extend report, and we have extend manager dot what is the method which we have created, end test, correct? So that will flush the report, correct? And if you remember, in base class we have already called that method, so we'll comment that line as well. So what I'll do, simply I'll copy this line of comment, so I'll simply comment this one, and I'll put message over here, this has been implemented in TestListener class, right? So these two are done, guys. Now what we'll do, so when we start our TestNG.xml, so automatically our reports gets initialized using this get reporter method, and once it is done, it will automatically end the suite, right? So this is done. Now we'll write some code over here. I would say triggered when a test starts, right? And what we are going to do here, we need test name, right? We need name of the test. So what we'll do, we have you can see already parameter ITestResult, right? And this is the class, guys. So if you hover over here, so you'll see this class describes the result of a test, correct? So simply we can use this, and there is a method get method dot get method name, correct? So this will gives us test name. Now when we start the test, then what we can do, we can call extend manager dot start test. We have method, and simply we'll pass the test name over here, correct? This is how we can do. We can call start test, which we have written in the previous video in extend manager class. So this is what we can do when we start the test, correct? And we can say, we can comment here start logging in extend report. From here it will start, right? And extend manager dot log step, we can write test started, and here we'll put test name, correct, guys? Now what we'll do, since we have already written over here like start test, so if I open all the test classes, so we have already written like here you can see start test, right? So no need of this one, so simply we'll copy the comment from here and put it over here, correct? We have already started with the test in TestListener, so no need of this one, which we have done in the previous part. And here as well, so simply go to the next test class, and here also we'll comment this line. So if you watch the previous video, then you'll understand, guys. This is what we have done. and homepage test as well when we have started the test, right? Verify orange HRM logo. So simply we'll comment this line as well. And what else? Login page test. We don't need of this line, and here we have two tests, right? So this one also we need to comment. Now come back to test listener. What we'll do here, so this is done. Now what is the next? On test success. So what we are going to do here, so we can write simply triggered when a test succeeds, right? When a test succeeds. And what we are going to write, we'll call the same thing. We want test name, right? And here what we'll do, extent manager dot log step with validation. We have one method, right? Log step with screenshot, correct? And here we'll provide what we are going to provide here, this class. We need to provide the driver, right? Get driver method is there. And here what I'll write, we need to write the log message. So I'll write like test passed successfully. This is how we can give, right? And here the third screenshot message, what we can give. So I have proper comment like this, so we can use this test and test name and test pass like this. When test got passed, right? So that is will be the last step. So we can simply give this one like test and test pass, like that we can add, correct? So we can give like this. And now let's talk about when test fails, right? So triggered when a test fails. So what we are going to do here, so every time I'm using this method, guys, like name of the test, right? So maybe you can create one private method and you can call that method, that is also fine. So what we'll do here, extent manager dot what we can say, log failure, right? Log failure. And here also we need to pass base class dot get driver, correct? And we can say test failed, like this message we can give when test fail. And here for that also I have comment like this, so it gives us beautiful report like this. So this is done. Now we can give one more, we can write one more line over here. We can give one message here, result dot get throwable in case of failure, right? And here git message, not git method, git message is there, maybe it is not there. Get throwable, once again get throwable dot get message, get throwable dot get message, correct. So this will gives us the failure message, so we can give like string failure message. And what we'll do, we can log a step over here as well, extend manager dot log step, and we can give the failure message over here. So this is what we can do as part of like on test failure, correct guys. So what is remaining on test skip, right? So this one also we can write, so this will be executed when triggered when a test skips, right? And here we'll write simple extent, we need name of the test, simply call it, we can put it over here, and extent manager dot log skip, right? And here we'll give the message over here. Before that, I think we can give test skip like this. We have only one parameter, I guess, color message. Okay, that's fine. Can we give like this? Yeah, we can give like this, log skip, test skipped, and test name, correct. What is the test name we'll give? So this is how we can do like this, log step test started, like this we can give for that one as well. So I think everything is done guys. So we have created the class test listener that implements ITestListener, right? And there we have some unimplement methods like on test start, and we have implemented with our code, correct. So what we'll do now, let's save the other classes where we made the changes. Now let me just come back to go back to the extend manager, and here what we'll do, last, not here, action driver. In action driver, what I'll do for compare text, I think I have given like this, so that's why it is coming message like this. So what we'll do, comparison field, or I would say text comparison field, like this I can give, correct guys. And so this is done. So anything left, we have already commented our base class, right? We have created test listener, and accordingly we have commented the base class as well. And now what we need to do, we have to open our, let me just quickly check our base class. We have already commented everything, right? We have commented the extend manager dot get reporter, where we start the report, extend report. And here we don't need like we need to set the, we need to register the driver, that is no need to touch here. And at the end tear down we have already given, we have already done that, like there's an end test, right? Now what I'll do, I'll open TestNG.xml under src test resources, and here we have TestNG.xml. Now what I'll do, we need to add the listener over here, listeners tag. So inside suite tag we'll add listeners, correct? And here we need to add not here, we need to add inside suite tag, guys. So inside suite tag, that's why it was not coming automatically, so you can see here now. And inside that we'll add listener tag, right? And here we'll give the name, class name. So com.orangehrm dot what is where is our class? Listeners, right? Listeners dot test listener. Test listeners, like this we can give. It's test listener only, so make sure the spelling is correct. So com.orangehrm.listeners, so this is the package, com.orangehrm.listeners, and test listener is the class, and control shift F and save it. Now everything is ready, so I think hopefully we can run it. So let me run it and see whether it is working fine or not. Right click, run as TestNG suite. So all test cases got executed. So deliberately we have failed one test case, right? If you remember in the previous video, and we have skipped one test case as well. And there are 3 passed steps for pass cases. Now let me just refresh the report, and here you can see successfully all the steps are logging over here, right? And let me go to the failure one. So here you can see test comparison failed is coming, and this is what you can get, right? The last step as well. So whenever we have failure, so we attach the screenshot, you can see here, and when test ends, that there also will attach one screenshot, and that this beautiful message is coming, guys, like cross mark over here. You can see test end, invalid login, you can see cross mark test failed, correct? And if you see the past one also, it is coming the right mark over here. So that looks beautiful, right? And here you can see pass, when all the test cases, all the steps are passed, so you can write the final step like pass, right? And there is a, whenever we do verification, that part is also pass over here. You can see element is displayed, and basically when we, what is the purpose of this one, orange HRM logo? So when we verify the logo, so this is the screenshot, right, which we took, and here we have given the pass information. Similarly, you can see valid login test. Here you can see this is the place where we verify whether admin tab is displayed or not. And at last you can see test and verify login test, and you can see we have written the we have given that correct mark, right? The right mark, test passed. And for skipping the test, this test case is skipped. I think we have deliberately gave this message, so maybe we can comment that one as well. So dummy class this one, we don't need this one, so automatically it will be taken care by this, right? You can see test skip dummy test. So how it is coming, or whatever pass or failure are there, those are all coming from test listener class now, right? There is no hard coding at all. So based on the test events, like whether it is pass, fail or skip, it is logging all the things here. You can see test skipped, and dummy test is the method name. What is the test name? Here we have test name, right? Dummy test, you can see dummy test. So this is how it works, listeners, guys. So it is very good feature we have in TestNG. So this is how you can implement, and you can see the report, beautiful report as well. So in the next video we'll talk about how to border the element for pass and fail. So take an example. Here we have verified, like let's say for pass, this one, right? This field, add username and password. So how we can highlight that in green color? Or let's say if you talk about this one, admin tab, so how to like highlight with green color this admin tab? In case of failure, how to highlight with red color? Like that we are going to see in the next video. That is going to be an interesting video, guys. So try to implement this ITestListener in your framework, and let me know in case if you have any doubts or if you have any other queries, put in the comment box. And please subscribe this channel, putting a lot of effort to make this framework, guys. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.